So God, God, to God in the morning, God in the evening, God, oh God. Morning, guys. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing this morning? It is Tuesday morning, and we are continuing the reading of the Bible. We are on to the book of 2 Samuel, verse 2 Samuel chapter 15 is where we're going to be reading from today. Chapters 15, 16, 17, 18, just around there. 15, 16, 17, 18, 4 chapters. Hey, Jennifer, how are you doing? Good morning to you, my love. How are you doing? Happy Wednesday to you. I hope you're having a great morning, my love. Hope you're having a great morning. I don't think it is morning where you are at, but I hope you're having a great day, whatever time it is. And this morning we are going to be reading the Bible. Again, this is what we do every morning, and we will continue doing so until at least we have finished reading the entire book. All right. Yesterday you saw us read chapters, 2 Samuel chapters 10 through 14. And during that time, for those of you who weren't here, just a quick little recap of what happened yesterday. In the reading, we saw Absalom's brother, David, that's another of David's sons, Amnon. Amnon raped his sister Tamar. And I'm sure a lot of you would not have believed that these things would be happening in the Bible, a book that we all so revere this book because of its teachings and how we have been socialized. You would not have known that people in the Bible who were considered to be men of God and men who were to be respected by everybody. Um, you wouldn't expect some of the things that has happened in the Bible, and that is why I am on this quest to read the Bible for myself, so that so that I can have my own knowledge, my own understanding of what is written in there, rather than be told by anybody what is in the Bible. We saw Amnon raping Tamar yesterday, and Absalom, his brother, was so mad. It took him 2 years. Now, when you can be so angry at somebody that you take 2 years to plot and to plan what you are going to do to them, um, that's something to stop and think about. The rape was a terrible thing, a very terrible thing for one brother to do to his sister, but it was a terrible thing for one brother to do to his sister. But to think that Absalom was so mad at Amnon that he thought about it for 2 years before he finally decided that he was going to have this party, function, whatever it was, and he was going to send for his brother. And when his brother came, he ordered his men to slay his brother. So there was a lot of brotherly hatred going on between them. And this is like the second time in the Bible that we have come across a brother slaying another brother. the story we know about is about Cain and Abel, and Cain and Abel is told to us over and over and over again. I don't think there's anybody in this generation who does not know the story of Cain slaying Abel. But I didn't know. I'm sure I must have read it in church, must have heard it, but didn't pay attention. I don't know. But this story I didn't know. I did not know that Absalom slew his brother Amnon because his brother had raped his sister Tamar. And so, having read that yesterday, I am curious to find out what else has happened to Absalom, what else has happened to the rest of the characters in this story. My brother, Official 1SP, is here. Official SP, what's up, my love? How are you doing? So good to see you. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to see you, my dear. Yeah, so Absalom had run away after he had slain his brother, and his father had eventually sent to get him. He went away to Geshur, and then his father had sent to get him. He did not want to come to his father David, King David, that was, because he wasn't sure what King David was going to do to him. He wasn't sure if King David was so angry at him that he might order his death for having slain Amnon. So Absalom stayed away for about 3 years. And then when he finally came, his father was very pleased with him, much to his surprise. But I mean, who wouldn't be pleased with him? What his brother did was a very, very egregious thing. Surprise. Oh, Lord. Yes. What his brother did to him was a very, very egregious thing, very evil and cruel thing what he had done to his sister. And so, David embraced Absalom. Now we're going to continue the reading today, and let's see what else happened after that. So if you have your book Bible or your Google Bible, go ahead, take it out and follow along with me. And if you have come across any additional literature, please, we'd be happy for you to share it with us so that we all can learn together. Because, we are no theologians. I certainly am the furthest from a theologian or anything of that nature. But I am really intrigued with the Bible and its teachings. So come along with us. We are going to be reading today from 2 Samuel chapter 15. God, what's up? God, me and you go to bed at night time and wake up at morning time together now. Chapter 15 of 2 Samuel. And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, Of what city art thou? And he said, Thy servant is of one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, See, thy matters are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. Okay. Let's go back again. And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. Okay. So here I believe all right, let us continue. Verse 2. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, Where are you from? And he said, Thy servant is of one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, See, thy matters are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. Absalom said, moreover, Oh, said, moreover, Oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which hath any suit or cause might come unto me, and I would do him justice. Hey, who made Absalom? Who made Absalom the judge? I don't remember reading that his father had appointed him to be the judge. So here it says that Absalom is standing at the gate because everybody's coming to David for their judgment. If they have a problem with the neighbor, whatever it is, they are coming to him for him to tell them what next to do, who is right and who is wrong. Absalom is standing there and he's sort of meting out justice without anyone giving him that authority. So it says here he's standing at the gate when anyone came for their judgment. You'd ask them, where are they from? And they would say to him, they're from this tribe or that tribe or the other tribe. And then he would tell them, there is no one, there is nobody that the king has appointed to be his deputy to cast judgment for them. And moreover, he said, Oh, that I were made judge of the land, that every man which hath any suit or cause come unto me, and I would do him justice. Let's continue reading because I want to know if at any point his father had made him his deputy. Verse 5 said, And it was so that when any man came near to him to do him obedience, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. Oh, okay. So Absalom sort of appointed himself without his father's knowledge. And by doing so, the people sort of fell in love with him. Let's continue reading because this does sound like a conspiracy to me. This does sound like a conspiracy. So let us continue. I'm sure the Bible is going to give us some clarification on this. And if the Bible won't, God will. So let us continue. And it came to pass after 40 years, after 40 years, that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode at Geshur in Syria, saying, If the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. And the king said unto him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. Oh, so you know what it looked like to me? I don't know if this is what is going to happen, but it seems to me like Absalom has stolen the heart of the people. So he has gotten the people to love him, to fall in love with him by him having stood in the gates of his father's palace and greeting the people so they wouldn't be able to go to his father for judgment. So when he meet them and he talked to them and he kissed them, they felt a connection with him, just like how the politicians do us, just like you remember bro God romanced us into liking him. You know, may remember bro God romanced us into believing that he was going to take us to higher heights. Well, him take us to higher heights and drop with the back foot. But anywho, so now I think Absalom wanting to go back to Hebron, meaning that when he goes back to Hebron, all these people are now going to follow him. Is he trying to overthrow his father? I'm going to continue reading because it says now, after 40 years. And remember, King David started reigning at 30 and reigned for 40 years. So, is this 40 years after King David? Let's get it. Let's get it. God, what's up? AG, what's up? Good morning. How are you doing? So good to see you. Okay. So let us find out what is going on because my mind is going 10 different places right now. And we are not reading for me to interject with what my thoughts. It is just for us to get the concrete facts about what's in the Bible. All right. So Absalom by this time he is going back to Geshur in Syria. All right, let's see what happens after that. Verse 8 of chapter 15 says, For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode at Geshur in Syria, saying, If the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. And the king said unto him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as he hear the sound of the trumpet, then he shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. Oh, what did that man here? And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem. So the man really was trying to overthrow his father. Now he has 200 men going with him out of Jerusalem that were called. And they went in their simplicity and they knew not anything. Or they did not know the plot. They just traveled with this man. Okay. All right. The story is very interesting, guys. Come on over and share out the live and invite your friends to come. Because this story here is very, very interesting. Let us continue. And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. Verse 12 says, And Absalom sent for Ahithophel. That's Ahithophel. Ahithophel, the Gilonite, David's counselor from his city, even from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices, and the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. So now he sent for David's counselor. I don't think this counselor even know what Absalom is about. And there came a messenger to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, Arise, and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly, and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. So David was afraid of his son Absalom. And the king's servant said unto the king, Behold, thy servants are ready to do whatsoever my lord the king shall appoint. And the king went forth, and all his household after him, And the king left 10 children, and the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep his house. He left 10 of his concubines to keep the house while he left with the others. Hmm. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in a place that was far off. And all his servants passed on beside him, and all the Cherethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. Verse 19, then said the king to the Ittai, well on there guys, because this caused me to change position. When the business get hot, you got to change positions. Okay, verse 19 says, then said the king to Ittai, the Gittite, wherefore goest thou also with us? Return to thy place and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger and also an exile. Whereas thou comest but yesterday, should I this day make thee go up and down with us? Seeing I go whither I may, return thou and take back thy brethren. Mercy and truth be with thee. All right. So for some reason, David is probably skeptical. He's probably skeptical about this guy's plan, this guy's loyalty. So he's telling him, so he's telling this guy that you have just come to join us. Yeah, you're not seasoned yet. So you go on back where you are come from. Me not too trust you. Let us continue. Verse 21. And Ittai, that name is Ittai. And Ittai answered the king and said, as the Lord liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, surely in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also will thy servant be. Okay, so here Ittai is sort of pledging his loyalty to David. And even though David is sending him back from whence he came, he's saying to David, listen, my lord, I am with thee. If you live, I live. And if you die, I am willing to die also. All right, verse 22. And David said to Ittai, go and pass over. And Ittai the Gittite passed over, and all his men, and all the little ones that were with him. And all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over. The king also himself passed over the brook Kidron. And all the people passed over towards the way of the wilderness. And lo, Zadok also and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God. Really? Is there another ark of God? So when they were leaving, they left with the ark of God? I thought the ark of God was now in that cedar tabernacle that they had built in Jerusalem, where it wasn't supposed to be moved. Don't y'all remember us reading that day before yesterday? Where the Lord had ordered David to build the temple for the ark of God, where it shall have a permanent place to stay. Now, why are they traveling with it? Is there another ark of God? Gay, what's up? How you doing, my love? Hmm. Happy Tuesday to you, sweetheart. I'm glad to see you. All right. Let's continue. I'm sure the Bible is going to give us some clarification on that. And if it doesn't, God will. Verse 24, and lo, Zadok also, and all the Levites were with him, here bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God, and Abiathar went up until all the people had done passing out of the city. And the king said unto Zadok, carry back the ark of God. Okay, okay, okay. And the king said unto Zadok, carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again and show me both it and his habitation. Okay. Because I thought the ark of God wasn't supposed to be moved out of that cedar building. But if he thus say, I have no delight in thee, behold, here am I, let him do to me as seemeth good unto him. The king said unto Zadok the priest, art not thou a seer? Return into the city, return into the city in peace, and your two sons with you, Ahimaaz thy son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. Okay, so this is a new Jonathan. For those of you who have been following me, this right here, wow, this right here is a new Jonathan. So when we talk about Jonathan this time, I know when they teach us about the Bible, we only hear about one Jonathan because I've always only heard of one Jonathan, Saul's son. But I mean, as we have been reading, we have been finding that there are people with the same name, and we don't want to confuse them. Remember when we were reading in the book of Exodus, Leviticus, we came across um Zelophehad's daughters, five daughters, and one of the daughters had the name Noah, just like the name of the man, Noah. Don't forget. Okay, so this is the priest Zadok, and his two sons. I want to make sure I have it right. Ahimzar, that's H-A-H-I, Ahimaaz, M-A-A-Z, and Jonathan. Okay, let us continue. Where is Cad? Cad, what's up? What are you doing? Let us continue, guys. Verse 27 says, the king said also unto Zadok the priest, art not thou a seer? He says, aren't you a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your two sons with you, Ahimaaz thy son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I will tarry in the plain of the wilderness until there come word from you to certify me. Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem. I wanted to leave, take it. When did I go with the ark of God? And they tarried there. And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olives and wept as he went up, and had his head covered, and he went barefoot, and all the people that were with him covered every man his head, and they went up, weeping as they went up. Is David leaving his throne in Jerusalem because of his son Absalom? Is he? Let us continue. Verse 31. And one told David, saying, Ahithophel. We came across that name already, that Ahithophel person. Ahithophel. That was the person that Absalom had sent for. He was David's counselor. Y'all remember we read that earlier? Ahithophel was David's counselor. And when when Absalom, pardon me, when Absalom was leaving out of Jerusalem and going back to Hebron, he had taken Ahithophel with him. So that's how he's sort of going around and taking the men who are loyal to his father and making them love him and follow him. So here in verse 31 it says, and one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators. He is, because Absalom had sent for him back there in verse, I think it was in verse 11, verse 12 it was. In verse 12, he had taken Ahithophel with him. So now someone is telling David, listen, David, Ahithophel, which chapter are you reading now? I am reading chapter 15. I am on to verse 32. And one said to David, this is 31, and one told David, saying, Ahithophel is one of the conspirators. So he has gone from counselor to conspirator with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. Yeah, so David is now calling on God to just disrupt everything that all the work of Ahithophel. Just turn it into foolishness. Just mash it up, Lord. Just mash it up. And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount where he worshipped God, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his coat rent and earth upon his head. Why earth upon his head? Somebody had buried him? What happened? His clothes is torn up and he has dirt on his head? All right. God said to confuse the enemy. Yes, I guess. Turn everything that he got into foolishness. Verse 33 said, Unto whom David said, If thou pass it on with me, then thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if you return to the city and say unto Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant also, so will I know. So will I now also be thy servant. Then mayst thou for me defeat the counsel of Ahithophel. So here, David is telling Hushai, that's one of his servants. He's telling Hushai to go infiltrate Absalom's camp. Go infiltrate Absalom's camp so that you can see what is happening between what Absalom and Ahithophel are planning. Ahithophel are planning, because there's no point in you going across with me. If you go continue on the journey with me, you are no use, because we'll be there. We don't know anything. We don't know what's going on. We don't know which direction the enemy is coming from. We need somebody to infiltrate their camp. So you go ahead and infiltrate their camp for us. So this was the job given to Hushai. Verse 35 said, And hast thou not there with thee Zadok and Abiathar the priests? Therefore it shall be that what thing soever thou shalt hear out of the king's house, thou shalt tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the king. So here David is telling Hushai, you go on there. Abiathar is going to be there and Zadok. You tell them whatever it is you hear Absalom planning. Verse 36, Behold, they have there with them their two sons, Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son. I thought he had said in verse 29 that Zadok's two sons. Verse 29, Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of God to Jerusalem. No, not right there. In verse 27, the king said unto Zadok the priest, art thou not a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your two sons with you, Ahimaaz thy son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. But here, wow, wow, he said, go, your son Amaz and your son Jonathan, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. But over here in verse 35, it says, and hast thou not there with thee Zadok and Abiathar the priests? Therefore it shall be that what thing soever thou shalt hear out of the king's house, thou shalt tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. Verse 36 said, behold, they have there with them their two sons, Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son, and by them he shall send unto me everything that he can hear. These Jonathans are really something else. You all remember that when we were reading the book on this foundation, that there was a Jonathan too who had infiltrated Nehemiah's camp and had been appointed to be one of his closest aides, and he was taking out the secrets and giving it to the enemy. Let's move on to verse 37, and God says, dirt on the head was a way of showing remorse. Okay. So, but what did he do? What did Ushai do to be showing remorse? I didn't read that he had done anything. Verse 32 said, and it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount where we worship God, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his clothes rent on earth upon his head. Is it to show reverence or something? I'm not sure. But God said it's a way to show remorse. All right, let us move along to verse 37. So Hushai, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. Why Absalom come back to Jerusalem? I thought he was gone to Hebron with all these people. Why he come back? Oh, Jehoiaham was the man in this foundation. True, I never Jonathan him name. I thought that was his name. The one who had infiltrated Nehemiah's in the book of Nehemiah, or in all right, we're not gonna worry about it. We'll find it again. Chances are, if it's in the Bible will say it again. All right. Now we are moving on to chapter 16 of the book of 2 Samuel. Come follow with me, guys. Chapter 16 of the book of 2 Samuel. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba. You all remember Ziba? We read about Ziba a couple days ago. Ziba was the guy who was a servant of Saul. And when David decided that he was going to distribute Saul's inheritance, he wanted to know who was left of Saul's kingdom to give it to. And the only person he could think of, the person that his servants told him, was Ziba. They say, well, somebody is remaining out of Saul's house. His name is Ziba. And he said, bring me Ziba. When Ziba went to David, and David said to him, you are going to be getting Saul's inheritance. Ziba said, me? Why me? Saul has a grandson, you know. His son Jonathan did have a son named Mephibosheth, but he is crippled on the feet because he had fallen from the nurse when he was a baby and his feet are crippled. And David said, okay, go get me Mephibosheth. And they brought Mephibosheth to David, and David passed the law for Ziba and Ziba's sons and Ziba's servants to be servants of Mephibosheth. David said Mephibosheth will live in his house, but Ziba and Ziba's servants will till the fields of Saul and bring the food to his house so that Mephibosheth will eat for the rest of his life. You all remember that? Let us continue reading. Chapter 16 of the book of 2 Samuel. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him with a couple of asses saddled, and upon them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bunches of raisins, and 100 of summer fruits, and a bottle of wine. And the king said unto Ziba, what do you mean by these? And Ziba said, the asses be for the king's household to ride on, and the bread and summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. And the king said, and where is thy master's son? And Ziba said unto the king, behold, he is still in Jerusalem. For he said, today shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. Mephibosheth did really say that? We are going to find out if Mephibosheth, because remember, David had allowed Mephibosheth, boy, I can't call this boy's name, you know. David had said that Mephibosheth will live in his house in Jerusalem, in the king's palace in Jerusalem. And now here is Ziba. Ziba is telling David that Mephibosheth is back in Jerusalem because Mephibosheth said he is going to take over his father. Father meaning Saul, his grandfather. He's going to take over Saul's kingdom. We haven't heard that conversation between Mephibosheth and Ziba, so we are going to assume that Ziba isn't telling the truth, but we will find out. Verse 4 said, then said the king to Ziba, behold, thine are all that pertained unto Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I humbly beseech thee that I may find grace in thy sight, O Lord my king. So here David sort of calls him out, calls out Ziba and say, all of this that you have brought here belongs to Mephibosheth. So how you gonna come and give Mephibosheth's stuff away to us? This not look right. Where is Mephibosheth? And Ziba, thinking quick on his feet, say, well, he has stayed in Jerusalem because he said he is going to restore his grandfather's kingdom. Verse 5 says, and when King David came to Bahurim, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shemel, the son of Jerah. He came forth and cursed still as he came. Okay. Okay. Let's see why he is cursing. Verse 6. And he cast, oh, and he cast stones at David. Why was Shemel stoning David? Let's find out. And he cast stones at David, and at all the servants of King David, and all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. And thus said Shemel when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, and thou man of Belial. The Lord hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou hast reigned. And the Lord hath delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. And behold, thou art taken in thy mischief, because thou art a bloody man. Oh my. So here Shemel is cursing David. He's cursing David, and he's saying that the throne on which David sits rightfully belongs to Saul. Rightfully belongs to Saul. And this guy who is cursing at David, this guy here, Shemel, who is it Shemel or Shemai? Is that an I? Yes, Shemai. Shemai. All right. So he's cursing at David because he believes that the kingdom over which David reigns is supposed to be Saul's. And so the kingdom really belongs to the descendants of Saul. Let us continue. Verse 9. Then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto the king, yes, gay. Yes, yes. Obviously, that's why this Shimei, obviously, that's why this Shimei guy is cursing at David. Because verse 6 says, and he cast stones at David and at all the servants of King David, and all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and his left. And thus said Shimei when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, and thou man of Belial. The Lord hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou hast reigned. Yes, he's saying that you are reigning where Saul was supposed to be king. That's where you are. And the Lord hath delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom, your son. So he's like he's cursing, he's tracing David. Like, look at it. You come here to reign in Jerusalem in the position that was supposed to be for Saul. And look, now see there, your son has overthrown you. And behold, you are taken in thy mischief. That means that it is your own hand. It's because you have been cruel, while this cruelty has befallen you, because you are a bloody man. Verse 9. Then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto the king, why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? You know, when they were cursing people, the worst curse they could find was to call you a dead dog. And the people who were with David are angry because they're like, you are the king. Why is this dead dog cursing you like this? So Abishai said, let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. Wow. So Abishai wanted to go and take off Shimei's head for David. You know how people, when they are faithful and loyal to a person, you can't say nothing bad about them. This is like the perfect Garrison story right here. Just like we see in Garrison communities, you can't say nothing bad about Siaga over there. So or else they will come over there and they will destroy you, and you can't say nothing bad over here. So about manly, that kind of stuff. So here, Abishai is not having it. He don't want to hear this Shimei guy talking to David like that. And the king said, "What have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord hath said unto him, Curse David. Who shall then say, Wherefore hast thou done so?" And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, "Behold, my son, which came forth of my bowels, seeketh my life. How much more now may this Benjaminite do it? Leave him alone, and let him curse, for the Lord hath bidden him." Okay, so here we see Abishai is asking for David's permission to go on over and deal with Shimei, because Shimei is being so disrespectful to David. He's cursing David and being so disrespectful. Abishai isn't having it. But David said, leave him, make him curse. Because if the Lord put it in his heart to curse me, the king, let him curse me. Let him curse me. Leave him alone and let him curse me. If the Lord put it in his heart. My own son, Absalom, who came out of my bowels, is plotting to kill me. So if my own son out of my own bowels is plotting to kill me, what do I got to say about this man here who is cursing me? I have bigger fish to fry. The bigger fish I have to fry is my own son, who is planning to kill me and take over Jerusalem. Rahina is here. How are you doing, Rahina? So good to see you, my love. Happy Tuesday to you, my dear. Thank you so much for stopping by. Verse 11. And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, Behold, my son, which came forth of my bowels, seeks my life. How much more now may this Benjaminite do it? Let him alone, and let him curse, for the Lord hath bid him. It may be that the Lord will look on my affliction, and that the Lord may requite me good for his cursing this day. And as David and his men went by the way, Shimei went along on the hill's side over against him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and cast dust. Boy, Shimei is mad. He must fling rock stone after David and he's quarreling. Oh my gosh. Verse 14. And the king and all the people that were with him came weary and refreshed themselves there. And Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel was with him. You all remember Ahithophel? Ahithophel was David's counsel, who switched allegiance and is now gone with Absalom. Let's continue. Verse 16. And it came to pass when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, David's friend, was come unto Absalom, that Hushai said unto Absalom, God save the king, God save the king. And Absalom said to Hushai, Is this thy kindness to thy friend? Why wentest thou not with thy friend? Oh boy, Absalom figured out that Hushai is infiltrating the camp. He said, Why aren't you not gone with your friend? And Hushai said unto Absalom, Nay, but whom the Lord and this people and all of the men of Israel choose, he will I be, his will I be, and with him will I abide. So here Hushai is really David's friend. He has infiltrated the camp of Absalom. So Absalom kind of suspicious of him. Absalom said, "Why are you here? Why aren't you with your friend?" He's talking about his father David. He said, "Why aren't you with your friend?" And the Shai said to him, "Well, I am where I have my loyalty. It is right here that I have my loyalty. It is with you. And so wherever you go, there I will be. And again, whom should I serve?" Let's move on. Verse 19 said, "And again, whom should I serve? And whom should I not serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in thy father's presence, so will I be in thy presence." Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, "Give counsel among you that what we shall do." So here is asking Ahithophel for advice, for instruction as to what they should do with Hushai. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, "Go in unto thy father's concubine." Okay. So David, at this point, David has left the kingdom. David has left the kingdom, him and his men, and they are gone out into the wilderness. David is now like a man without a home. And his servants are gone with him. But he had left 10 concubines to continue maintaining the palace. But now Absalom and his men have left from Hebron. Remember, he had said he was going to Hebron? But now he's back in Jerusalem, in his father's house. Him and his men. Look at this overthrow right here, Joseph. Joseph, what? Joe, what's up? How are you doing, my love? So good to see you, my darling. So good to see you. We are here reading all of these treachery that's going on in the Bible here. All of this deceit and everything else that's going on in the Bible. We are here reading about it. If you are following with us in your Bible, we are on to 2 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 21. We are going to read again. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, "Go in unto thy father's concubines, which he hath left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that thou art hated. Thou art abhorred of thy father." To abhor someone is to hate them. "Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong." Heavenly Lord, Heavenly Lord. Look at that. Verse 22. So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. What a dirty boy. And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of God. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. So Ahithophel was counselor to David, and he switched allegiance, and now he's with Absalom. But remember, Absalom is going to be consulting with Ahithophel for instructions. And remember, David had already asked God. David had already asked God to confuse Ahithophel, make him give Absalom all kinds of wrong advice. Let him instruct Absalom to do everything that is going to cause his own destruction. Remember, David had prayed that prayer and asked God to confuse Absalom, to make the counsel that Ahithophel give to Absalom be foolish, be of no use. He said, let Ahithophel's counsel be filled with foolishness. So that means let whatever advice Ahithophel give to Absalom be nothing but pure foolishness, pure bad advice he should give him. Let us move along. Now that was the end of chapter 16. Now we are on to chapter 17. Moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom, let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. All right, so Ahithophel kind of get a little emboldened right now. So, so he wants to go. He wants to go after David. Okay. Verse 2, and I will come upon him while he is weary and weak-handed, and will make him afraid, and all the people that are with him shall flee, and I will smite the king only. This is his plan. This is the plan of Ahithophel, who was once very loyal to David. Verse 3 said, and I will bring back all the people unto thee. The man whom thou seekest is as if all returned, so all the people shall be in peace. And the saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Israel. So everybody now happy with that plot that Ahithophel has to go pursue after David and kill him. Verse 5 said, then said Absalom, call now Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear likewise what he says. Remember, Hushai is David's friend, and he has infiltrated the camp of Absalom so that he can gather information for David. So let's see what happened now. Absalom has sent for Hushai to see if Hushai agrees with this plan. Because if Hushai agrees that David should die, then that means that Hushai is really loyal to Absalom, as he had said. But if he says, no, he doesn't want David to die, then it shows that he still has loyalty to David. And verse 6, and when Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spake unto him, saying, Ahithophel hath spoken after this manner. Shall we do after his saying? If not, speak thou. All right, so here he's telling Hushai, he's trying to see where Hushai's loyalty is. So he's saying to Hushai, listen, Ahithophel has this plan that him and 12,000 men are going to go after David. And when they catch David in the wilderness, they're going to scare away the men who are with him. And then they're going to slay David and bring back the men to Jerusalem so the men can be loyal to Absalom. What do you say, Hushai? Do you agree with this plan? Verse 6, and when Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spake unto him, saying, Ahithophel hath spoken after this manner. Shall we do after his saying? If not, speak thou. And Hushai said unto Absalom, the counsel that Ahithophel hath given is not good at this time. For, said Hushai, thou knowest thy father and his men, that they be mighty men, and they be chaffed in their minds, as a bear robbed of her whelps in his field. And thy father is a man of war, and will not lodge with the people. Okay, so here Hushai is saying to Absalom, listen, it's not so easy to go kill your father, you know. Remember, your father is a warrior. Your father knows every trick in the book. Your father is not going to lay himself careless with his foot soldiers so that if somebody is coming to kill him, they're going to be able to find him so easily. Your father is a smarter warrior than that. Verse 9. Behold, he is hidden now in some pit or in some other place. And it will come to pass, when some of them be overthrown at the first, that whosoever heareth it will say, there is a slaughter among the people that follow Absalom. And he also that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, shall utterly melt. For all Israel knows that your father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are valiant men. Verse 11. Therefore I counsel that all Israel be generally gathered unto you, from Dan even to Beersheba, as the sand that is by the sea for multitude, and that thou go to battle in thine own person. Okay, so here Ushai is saying, come on now, Absalom, you can go to the battle by yourself. You can go to the battle by yourself. You can go. But I want to know if he's going to go. We are going to continue reading, my friends. We are going to continue the reading. Hold on. We're going to take a little intermission right here. Where is it? Uh-oh. I have a little intermission right there. All right, let us continue. Verse 11. Therefore I counsel that all Israel be generally gathered unto thee, from Dan even to Beersheba, as the sand that is by the sea for multitude, and that thou go to battle in thine own person. Verse 12. So shall we come upon him in some place where he shall be found, and we will light upon him as the dew falleth on the ground, and of him and of all the men that are with him there shall not be left so much as one. Yes, God, commercial break. Yes, God, that was the commercial break. Oh my Lord. Yes, sister, that's what that was. Anyway, let us continue. Let us continue. Verse 13. Moreover, if he be gotten into the city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to that city, and we will draw it into the river, until there be not one small stone found there. Huh? Let's read that again. Moreover, if he be gotten into a city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to that city, and we will draw it into the river, until there be not one stone found there. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel. Y'all remember? Remember, David had already prayed and asked God that anything Ahithophel, any counsel that he give would be bad counsel, huh? To the intent that the Lord might bring evil upon Absalom. Verse 15. Then said Hushai unto Zadok and Abiathar the priests. Remember, Zadok and Abiathar, they are both priests. Thus and thus did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus have I counseled. Now, therefore, send quickly and tell David, saying, lodge not this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily pass over, lest the king be swallowed up, and all the people that are with him. So remember, gentle people, there are at least three people out of David's camp, at least three people who are loyal to David, who have infiltrated Absalom's camp, and they are working undercover. They are working as spies. There is Ushai, and then there is Zadok and Abiathar the priest. So here Ushai is telling them this is the plan. So you all better run ahead and tell David that he should get away from where he's at, because Absalom and the army are coming after him. Verse 15. Then said Ushai unto Zadok and Abiathar the priest, thus and thus. You see, the Bible not talking about the whole thing, it said thus and thus, so you all understand. This and this, kinda and kinda. You know how Jamaicans start telling one story, the story not have the beginning, not have the end, but you understand every word because you know what is going on. All right? That's how we tell stories. Thus and thus. Yeah. Did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus have I counseled. I like how he did that. I like how he did that. Andrea, what's up? I can imagine how Ushai is saying that you want to see say them you know what you know what I mean, right? You want to see him a wink tell him, and I say, I push up his mouth one side and I say, them a plan, them a plan, yeah. Oh my God. Then said Ushai unto Zadok and Abiathar the priest, thus and thus did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus have I counseled. Verse 16. Now therefore send quickly and tell David, saying, lodge not this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily pass over, lest the king be swallowed up, and all the people that are with him. Verse 17. Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz, all right, we know who the Jonathan and the Ahimaaz are. Ahimaaz and Jonathan are the sons of Zadok and Abiathar. Don't forget, Ahimaaz is Zadok's son, and this Jonathan here is Abiathar's son. Let us continue. Verse 16. Verse 17, I mean. Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed by Enrogel, for they might not be seen to come into the city. And a wench went and told them, and they went and told King David. Okay, so so here they had a nice little setup to get the information back to David. Jonathan and Ahimaaz, Absalom didn't know where they were. They weren't in the camp in his face. They were kind of hiding out on the outskirts of town. Yeah, they were hiding like on the outskirts of town. So Hushai, they had to send somebody. And here they say they sent a wench. That's what they call them. That's what they sent this person. They call them a wench. They sent a wench to tell them what was going on so that they could carry the story on to David. They could run along and get David and tell David what the plot was. Verse 18. Nevertheless, a lad saw them, OMG. So a little boy saw them and told Absalom, OMG. But they went both of them away quickly and came to a man's house in Bahurim, which had a well in his court, whither they went down. So Ahimaaz and Jonathan, a little boy saw when the wench was telling them the secret. And the little boy went and told Absalom, you know what, Absalom, Missy one, you know what, Missy, so and so and so, go over there so. And two man was over there and him talk to the two man, them, him tell them something. I don't know what him tell them, but him tell them something. And now the two man them gone. And now the two man them gone. Okay? So this little rascal go and tell Absalom. So now that Jonathan and Ahimaaz knows that they have been seen, they know that their lives are in danger. And so, as they were going to go find David to warn David, they know that Absalom's army was going to catch them and kill them. They went and hide in a man's well. They hid in the well. You know, say all this time, I used to hear the story of David. I heard that David died in a well, but I know David died in the well. David was in the wilderness. Now I know it was Jonathan and Ahimaaz that hid in the well. Verse 19 says, and the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth and spread ground corn upon it. And the thing was not known. Oh, what a clever woman. And when Absalom's servants came to the woman to the house, they said, where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan? And the woman said unto them, they be gone over the brook of water. And when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. And it came to pass, after they were departed, that they came up out of the well, and went and told King David, and said unto David, arise, and pass quickly over the water, for thus hath Ahithophel counseled against you. What a story. Me say, if the Bible is not a soap opera, there is no soap opera. If the Bible is not a soap opera, there is no soap opera. So for those of you who are just coming in, we are reading from the book of 2Samuel. We are reading slowly and we are repeating because we are going over this book, the Bible, so that we understand it as lay people. We are no excuse me, we are no theologians over here. We are just ordinary people trying to read the Bible cover to cover to understand it for ourselves, familiarizing ourselves with the stories therein and seeing how practical they are to our lives today. So just to catch you up on what we are reading, we have what we have been reading so far. So David's son Absalom has decided that he is going to take over the kingdom of Jerusalem. He has betrayed his father by sort of appointing himself, to be the deputy of his father, listening to the people's grievances and casting judgment behind his father's back. And then by doing so, he has garnered the respect of the people. So now when he says he's going to Hebron to be king, he had a lot of the people of Israel following behind him. And then they went there and they formed this whole army to overthrow his father. So his father, King David, decides that he's leaving the kingdom of Jerusalem because his son is coming to kill him. So he leaves 10 of his concubines to hold the house, and he is gone with his great men. And as they are going, there are several discoveries along the way that they are finding out who is loyal to him and who is not. The person named Ahithophel was counsel to David, but he has switched allegiances and is now counsel to Absalom. And David has prayed and asked God to make everything that Ahithophel tells Absalom to do turn out to be foolish, turn out to be a bad decision. But David has people who are loyal to him, such as Hushai and Jonathan. Now, this is the second Jonathan in David's story. The first Jonathan that was loyal to David was Saul's son, who was already killed in battle. I want us to stay on it so that we don't confuse the names. Now, this second Jonathan is the son of the priest Abishai, and he is loyal to David. And so too is this other guy, Ahimaaz. Ahimaaz is the son of the priest Zadok. So they are planning how they are going to get the King David to not fall into the hands of Absalom. And so they have sent Hushai, who is David's friend, to go into Jerusalem, into Absalom's camp, and infiltrate it, and so that he can hear all the plots and the plans and be able to transmit the information to David so that David can know what move to make to preserve himself out of the hands of his own son. And here Absalom is in Jerusalem. He has gone in and taken over his father's 10 concubines, sleeping with them and all. And now the same Ahithophel is telling him, this is what we're going to do to your father. We are going to go down there with 12,000 men. And when we get down there, wherever we find him, we are going to scare the men away. Kill who we can kill and run off who we can run off. And then we are going to go kill him, your father. And then we will bring back all these men into Jerusalem to fortify your kingdom. But Hushai hears this, and Hushai sends a wench. That must be a little page boy, a little boy, somebody they send with the story. Not a little boy, but whoever it is, the person who is going to be the secret news carrier. And they have told this person the plot and told him, go ahead and tell it to Jonathan and Ahimaaz. Jonathan and Ahimaaz are hiding on the outskirts of Jerusalem. So Hushai is telling them, go ahead, telling this man to go and tell Jonathan and Ahimaaz what the plot is against David's life. But a little boy saw the person who was telling Ahimaaz and Jonathan, and the little boy went and told Absalom. Now Absalom, he and his army are going after Ahimaaz and Jonathan, but they hid themselves in somebody's well so that Absalom couldn't find them. So now Absalom has returned to Jerusalem, him and his army, and we are going to find out what happens after that. So stay with me, guys. Don't you go anywhere. Follow along in your book Bible or your Google Bible. We are going to read chapter 21 again. And it came to pass, after they were departed, that they came up out of the well, and went and told King David, and said unto David, arise, pass quickly over the water, for thus hath Ahithophel counseled against you. Then David arose, and all the people that were with him, and they passed over Jordan by the morning light. By the morning light, there lacked not one of them that was not gone over the river Jordan. And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass, and arose, and got him home to his house and to his city, and put his house in order, and hanged himself. Ahithophel hanged himself. I wasn't prepared for this. I wasn't ready for this. and died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father. Oh, okay. That took me by surprise, guys. I don't know if it took you by surprise, but I wasn't expecting that. So when Ahithophel saw that that not David, that Absalom didn't follow his advice, because remember he had given his advice, and then Absalom had asked Hushai for his advice to see, if he agrees with Ahithophel, Ahithophel's advice, and Absalom had gone with Hushai's advice over Ahithophel's. Now Ahithophel goes home and hangs himself. Verse 23, and when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass and arose and got him home to his house, to his city, and put his house in order, and hanged himself, and died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father. Verse 24. Then David came to Mahanaim, and Absalom passed over Jordan, he and all his men of Israel with him. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the and Absalom made Amasa captain of the host instead of Joab, which Amasa was a man's son, whose name was Ithra, an Israelite, that went in to Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister to Zeruiah, Joab's mother. What a piece of mix up yourself. This Abigail, I don't think it is the same Abigail that was David's wife. I don't believe it was, because then she would have been a very old woman by then. Verse 25 again. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the host instead of Joab. Instead of Joab. Why was it supposed to be Joab in the first place? Which Amasa was a man's son. Amasa's father was Ithra, an Israelite, that went in to Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister of Zeruiah, Jacob, Joab's mother. So Israel and Absalom pitched in the land of Gilead. And it came to pass, when David was come to Mahanaim, that Shobi, the son of Nahash of Reha, of the children of Ammon, and Masher, the son of Amiel of Lodebar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite of Rogolim, brought beds and basins and earthen vessels and wheat and barley and flour and parched corn and beans and lentils and parched pulse and honey and butter and sheep and cheese of kine for David and for the people that were with him to eat. For they said, the people is hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness. This is the end of chapter 17 of the book of 2 Samuel. I hope you all are enjoying the reading, guys, as much as I am enjoying bringing it to you. I am absolutely enjoying the reading of the Bible. We are doing this on our own terms. For those of you who are new here, who do not understand what's going on here, we are lay people reading the Bible on our own terms and trying to understand what is in it. And these stories are really some riveting soap opera stories. Gay said, good morning, Andrea. Guys, I'm in the back. It's so hot here, so I have to run my duties. Gay, I understand. I understand, my love. It is hot here too. Yesterday was kind of overcast and it was 82 degrees, even overcast. And I'm like, holy mackerel, what is going on? And I haven't watered my plants yet this morning. I haven't watered them yet, but I'm going to go there and water them in a minute so that they can suck up the lovely, the water before the sun starts dehydrating them. All right, we have just finished reading the 17th chapter of the book of 2 Samuel, and now we are going to read chapter 18. Follow along, guys. Chapter 18. And David numbered the people that were with him, and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds over them. And David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab, and a third part under the hand of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and a third part under the hand of Ittai, the Gittite. And the king said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also. But the people answered, Thou shalt not go forth, for if we flee away, that they will not care for us, neither if half of us die, will they care for us. But now thou art worth 10,000 of us. Therefore, now it is better that thou succor us out of the city. Verse 4. And the king said unto them, What seemest thou best that I do? What thou seemest best, that will I do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom. And all the people heard when the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom. So even though Absalom was determined that he was going to kill his father was still very sympathetic towards Absalom, his son. Verse 6. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim, where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of God. And there was there a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men. Wow. 20,000 men. For the battle was there scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the heaven and the earth, and the mule that was under him went away. Huh? Okay. So this battle was going on in the woods, not out in the open plains. This battle was going on in the woods. Here in verse 7, it said that the wood, hold on, no, it wasn't in verse 7. Listen, verse 6. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim, where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David. And there was there a great slaughter that day of 20,000. For the battle was there scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword. So more people died from adversities they encountered in the woods more than those that died by the sword. So they either trip and fall, they got impaled by a piece of wood. It was in the woods that they were fighting. They must have been a foul smelling place. I can only imagine. There was so much bloodshed to be, I tell you, but I don't think they minded it. They didn't mind. Verse 8. For the battle was there scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the heaven and the earth, and the mule that was under him went away. So Absalom was riding on a mule in the midst of this thicket, in this midst of these woods. These woods, he was riding a mule. Imagine having a mule riding in thick brush, thick woods, and I guess a bow from a bough, it's not bow, it's a bough, from the oak tree, a bough from the oak tree, grabbed Absalom and dragged him off the mule, and the mule ran away. Let's see what happened after the mule. After the mule runs away. Because I thought somebody had said before that Absalom was taken up into heaven. But he's not into heaven. The bow on the tree grabbed him off the horse, grabbed him off the mule. Hey, Courtier, what's up? With all that war and bloodshed, they must have shortage of men. You know, that's why, Andrea, you know, that's why one man could afford to have all these many wives and concubines. Of course, it's all this war. The men kept dying. The men kept dying. So let's see. So the oak tree has grabbed Absalom off of the horse. Verse 10. And a certain man saw it and told Joab and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. And Joab said unto the man that told him, and behold, thou sawest him, and why didst thou not smite him there to the ground? And I would have given thee 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. So here the one man who saw when the oak tree hung Absalom off the mule, and he says it to Joab. Joab is now a captain. And Absalom said, you saw that, and you not just smite him? Why didn't you just smite him? Because if you had, I would have given you 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. And the man said unto Joab, though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, yet would I not put forth mine hand against the king's son. So the man said, even if he was going to give me 1,000 shekels of silver, I would not kill the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged thee and Abishai and Ittai, saying, beware that none touch the young man Absalom. Yes, the king did say that. Remember, King David said he didn't want anybody to hurt his son Absalom. He didn't want them to kill him. So here this man is saying, you think Joab is telling the guy that you should have killed him. The guy said, me, even if he was going to give me 1,000 shekels of silver, I was not going to kill him, because I heard with my own 2 ears the king saying, nobody must harm his son. Verse 13. Otherwise, I should have wrought falsehood against my own life, for there is no matter hid from the king. And thou thyself wouldst have set thyself against me. Yeah, yes, so the man is very wise. He say, even you, Joab, you would have probably go tell the king, say, me kill his son. So you know, I'm gonna come trick me. Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom while he was yet alive in the midst of the oak. Oh, okay. Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom while he was yet alive in the midst of the oak. And 10 young men that bare Joab's armor compassed about and smote Absalom and slew him. Okay, so it was Joab. So it was Joab who killed Absalom. Okay. The sound is distorted. I don't know why. I don't know why the sound is distorted. Because I'm here and I'm talking. I'm talking loud enough. I'm not sure what is happening. But if it continues, let me know. Verse 16. And Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel. For Joab held back the people. And they took Absalom and cast him into a great pit in the wood, and laid a very great heap of stones upon him. And all Israel fled, every one to his tent. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and reared up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's dale. For he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name, and it is called unto this day Absalom's place. Hmm. It's better now. Uncle, you know, say me not the same position. I am in the same position I've been. Me don't know why it's so. Verse 19. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, let me now run and bear the king tidings, how that the Lord hath avenged him of his enemies. And Joab said unto him, thou shalt not bear tidings this day, but thou shalt bear tidings another day. But this day thou shalt bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. Then said Joab to Cushi. Oh, is it the first time I'm seeing this name, Cushi? Not sure. Then said Joab to Cushi, go tell the king what thou hast seen. And Cushi bowed himself unto Joab and ran. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, yet again to Joab, but howsoever let me, I pray thee, also run after Cushai. And Joab said, wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing that thou hast no tidings ready? But howsoever, said he, let me run. And he said unto him, run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and overtook Cushai. And David sat between the 2 gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate, over the wall, and lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man running alone. And the watchman cried and told the king, and the king said, if he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace and drew near. And the watchman saw another man running. And the watchman called unto the porter and said, behold, another man running alone. And the king said, he also brings tidings. So the 2 men they see running is Ahimaaz and Cushai. Because remember, Cushai was running first with the news. And then Ahimaaz decided that he was, with Joab's blessing, he was going to run with the news as well. But he ran and he overtook Cushai. But Cushai is still running. So the first person that the porter saw was Ahimaaz. And the second person he saw running, coming, is Cushai. And the king said, he also bringeth tidings. And the watchman said, me thinketh, what? And the watchman said, me thinketh the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok. And the king said, he is a good man and cometh with good tidings. So the porter can identify Ahimaaz from so far. He says, the person who is running in the front looks like Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok. And the king said, King David said, okay, well, if it's Ahimaaz, he can come because he is a good person. So he is bringing good tidings. Verse 28, and Ahimaaz called and said unto the king, all is well. And he fell down to the earth upon his face before the king, and said, blessed be the Lord thy God, which hath delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my lord the king. And the king said, is the young man Absalom safe? And Ahimaaz answered, when Joab sent the king's servant, and me, thy servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. And the king said unto him, turn aside and stand here. And he turned aside, and he stood still. And behold, Cushai came. And Cushai said, tidings, my lord the king, for the Lord hath avenged thee this day of all them that arose up against thee. And the king said unto Cushai, is the young man Absalom safe? And Cushai answered, the enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against thee to do thee hurt, be as that young man is. Verse 33, and the king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate, and wept. And as he went, thus he said, O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would God I had died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son. So even though Absalom was determined to kill his father is still mourning Absalom's death. And that is the love of a parent. Sometimes, no matter how your children hate you, no matter how your children treat you bad, you would still die for them. You still love them. And one can't blame David for loving his son Absalom. That was flesh of his flesh and bone of his bone. That was Absalom, his child that came out of his own bowels. You cannot fault him for loving Absalom the way he did. And that's the end of chapter 18. That's the end of chapter 18 for today. Now we are going to read chapter 19, and that's going to be the last chapter for today. I hope you all are enjoying the reading as much as I'm enjoying bringing it to you. And if you are new into my channel and you have not yet hit that subscribe button, well, now is a good time to do so. Chapter 19, for those of you who are following. Let's move on. And it was told Joab, behold, the king weeps and mourns for his son Absalom. And the victory that day was turned into mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son. And the people got them by stealth that day into the city, as people being ashamed steal away when they flee in battle. But the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, Oh, my son Absalom. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son. And Joab came into the house to the king and said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life, and the lives of thy sons and of thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives, and the lives of thy concubines, in that thou lovest thine enemies and atest thy friends. For thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived, and all we had died this day, then it had pleased thee well. And Joab is not wrong with that analysis. That's how I would have analyzed the situation as well. Joab is not happy. Joab is angry with the king. Joab said, look at you here, bawling, hollering, wallowing, crying over Absalom, when Absalom would have taken your head off in a second without a second thought. And we all have been around you, and we all have been fighting against Absalom and his army to save your life. And here you are crying over his death. So I believe now that if Absalom had come and killed you, you wouldn't. If Absalom had killed us, you wouldn't be sorry. If he had killed us, you would not be sorry that we are dead. You would rejoice, because here we are slaying him to protect you, and you are here crying that he is dead. Like, are you serious, King David? Really, this is how much you have insulted us, insulted our intelligence, insulted us at how we have gone out to battle for you, fought for you, and here you are crying for the enemy. I don't care if the enemy was your son. Why are you crying for? Joab is really mad. Verse 7, Now therefore arise, go forth, and speak comfortably unto thy servants. For I swear by the Lord, if thou go not forth, there will not tarry one with thee this night, and that will be worse unto thee than all the evil that befell thee from thy youth until now. So here Joab is telling David, listen, go out there, get up, go out there and go apologize. Go apologize to the people. Because if you don't, they are all going to leave. And tonight it's going to be worse for you than any other time in your entire life. It's going to be bad for you. Then the king arose and sat in the gate, and they told unto all the people, saying, Behold, the king doth sit in the gate. And all the people came before the king, for Israel had fled every man to his tent. And all the children were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king saved us out of the hand of the enemies, and he delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines. And now he is fled out of the land for Absalom. And Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now therefore, why speak ye not a word of bringing the king back? Oh, so now they want David to come back now that Absalom is dead. Oh wow. You see how people can be wishy-washy? This is that is how we all are wishy-washy when it comes to our politicians. We like this one today, we don't like this one tomorrow. We vote this one in, we vote him out the next day. That's how that's all days politics we are playing in this modern life. And King David sent to Zadok and to Abiathar the priest, saying, Speak unto the elders of Judah, saying, Why are ye the last to bring the king back to his house, seeing the speech of all Israel is come to the king, even to his house? Ye are my brethren, ye are my bones and my flesh. Wherefore then are ye the last to bring back the king? And say ye to Amasa, then said he to Amasa, art thou not of my bone and of my flesh? God do so to me, and more also, if thou be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. And he bowed the head of all the men of Judah, even as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word unto the king, return thou and all thy servants. Verse 15. So the king returned and came to Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal to go to meet the king, to conduct the king over Jordan. And Shimei, the son of Gera. All right. Remember, Shammai was the son of Gera. Remember, Shimei was the one who said that he was the descendant of Saul. You remember him? He was the one who who stoned David. And when David, you remember? I just want to keep you all up to speed. Shimei was the one who stoned David. And when the men with David asked David to let them go, when Abishai asked David, let me go take off his head, David said, uh-uh, leave him alone. If my own son want to kill me, why should I even be worried that one man is cursing me? Verse 16, and Shimei, the son of Gera, a Benjaminite, which was of Bahurim, hasted and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. Him see a man was cussing David, Here he's coming down to meet King David. And there were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him. And Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, remember Ziba? All right. And his 15 sons and his 20 servants with him. And they went over Jordan before the king. But Ziba had gone with Absalom. Y'all remember? Okay. Verse 18. And there went over a ferry boat. Oh, they had ferry boats then. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household and to do what he thought good. And Shimei, the son of Gera, fell down before the king as he was come over Jordan. So you go from cursing the king to worshiping him? And said unto the king, let not my lord impute iniquity upon me, neither do thou remember that which thy servant did perversely the day that my lord the king went out of Jerusalem, that the king should take it to his heart. So here is Shimei. Remember, Shimei had stoned David and cursed him out dog rotten. So now Shimei is asking David for forgiveness, for mercy. He said, King, please don't remember what I did to you the day when you came out of Jerusalem. Please forgive me. Verse 20, for thy servant doth know that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I am come the first thing this day of all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my lord the king. But Abishai, say Abishai revengeful. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, answered and said, shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed? You want me tell you no? I know Abishai is not going to just let it go like that, because he is one of them revengeful ones. And David said, what have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah, that he should this day be adversaries unto me? Shall there any man be put to death this day in Israel? For do not I know that I am this day king over Israel? So David is saying to Abishai, listen, Abishai, I am king. I am not ordering you to kill this man. I didn't order you to kill him then when he was cursing me and throwing stones at me. Why am I going to order you to kill him now when he has come and bowed down before me? I am the king. And verse 23 says, therefore the king said unto Shimei, thou shalt not die. And the king sware unto him. Verse 24, and Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and had neither dressed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed until the day he came again in peace. Oh, so Mephibosheth, I guess he was mourning the departure of the king. So he didn't cut his hair, he didn't wash his feet, he didn't change his clothes. Verse 25, and it came to pass, when he was come to Jerusalem to meet the king, that the king said unto him, wherefore wentest not thou with me, Mephibosheth? And he answered, my lord, O king, my servant deceived me, for thy servant said, I will saddle me an ass, that I may ride thereon and go to the king, because thy servant is lame. All right, so you all remember that Mephibosheth's feet are no good. His feet are sort of has some kind of deformity because he fell out of the hand of his nurse back when he was 5 years old, and that injured his leg so badly that he's sort of disabled right now. So here Mephibosheth is saying to David that he had asked his servants, they said they were going to bring him a horse for him to ride, a donkey for him to ride on, but they didn't. Verse 27, and he hath slandered thy servant unto my lord the king, but my lord the king is as an angel of God. Do therefore what is good in thine eyes. For all of my father's house were but dead men before my lord the king. Yet didst thou set thy servant among them that did eat at thine own table. What right therefore have I yet to cry any more unto the king? And the king said unto him, why speakest thou any more of thy matters? I have said, thou and Ziba divide the land. Okay, so here David is saying to Mephibosheth, why are you talking about this thing over and over? I've already said that you and Ziba divide the land. Now I am wondering why the other Benjaminites who were descendants who were just like Saul. Saul descended from the tribe of Benjamin. So I am wondering how comes David is giving the land to Mephibosheth and Ziba. Is he not giving any to Shimei? Because Shimei is also a Benjaminite. So he is of relation to Saul from the tribe of Benjamin. So here David is saying to Mephibosheth, and the king said unto him, why speakest thou any more of this matter? I have said, thou and Ziba divide the land. And Mephibosheth said unto the king, yea, let him take all, for as much as my lord the king is come again in peace unto his own house. And Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Rogelim and went over Jordan with the king to conduct him over Jordan. Now Barzillai was a very aged man, meaning was a very old man. He was 80 years old, and he had provided the king of subsistence while he lay in Mahanaim. for he was a very great man. Okay, so Barzillai had taken care of David when David was over there in Mahanaim. Remember when he was in Mahanaim, he was hiding from his son. He was hiding from his son Absalom. So over there, Barzillai had helped him with provisions and stuff while he was there. Let us continue. Verse 33. And the king said unto Barzillai, come thou over with me, and I will feed thee with me in Jerusalem. And Barzillai said unto the king, how long have I to live, that I should go up with the king unto Jerusalem? I am this day 80 years old, and can I discern between good and evil? Can thy servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Wherefore then should thy servant be yet a burden unto my lord the king? So here David is inviting Barzillai to come with him home to Jerusalem. I believe he wants to show Barzillai the same kind of kindness that Barzillai had shown to him while he was in hiding down there in Mahanaim. But Barzillai said, come on, King David. I am an old man. I'm 80 years old. I can't hear as much as I used to hear. I can't see as much as I used to see. I need somebody to help me eat. You think I want to come to be a burden to you up there in Jerusalem, that your servants must be feeding me and taking care of me? No, I don't think so. Verse 35. I am this day 80 years old, and can I discern between good and evil? Can thy servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Wherefore then should thy servant be yet a burden unto my lord the king? Thy servant will go a little way over Jordan with the king, and why should the king recompense me with such a reward? Let thy servant, I pray thee, turn back again, that I may die in mine own city, and be buried by the grave of my father and my mother. But behold, thy servant Chimham, let him go over with my lord the king, and do to him what shall seem good unto thee. Who is this Chimham? I'm sure the Bible is going to explain to us later on who is this Chimham. My friend LCD is here. Hey LCD, how are you doing, my love? Verse 38. And the king answered, Chimham shall go over with me, and I will do to him that which shall seem good unto thee. And whatsoever thou shalt require of me, that will I do for thee. And all the children went over Jordan, and when the king was come over, the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he returned unto his own place. Then the king went on to Gilgal, and Chimham went on with him, and all the people of Judah conducted the king, and also half the people of Israel. And behold, all the men of Israel came to the king, and said unto the king, why have our brethren, the men of Judah, stolen thee away, and have brought the king and his household, and all David's men with him over Jordan? And all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, because the king is near of kin to us. Because the king is near of kin to us. Wherefore then be he angry for this matter? Have we eaten at all the king's cost? Or hath he given us any gifts? Why the people cannot be pleased? They cannot be pleased at all. And that's why it is such a hard job being a politician, being a ruler and a leader of people, because they cannot be satisfied. The more you do, the more they want you to do. Verse 43, and this, my friends, is the last verse of chapter 19 and the last verse of today's reading. And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, we have 10 parts in the king, and we have also more right in David than you. Oh my. So the men of Israel are claiming to be closer to David than the men of Judah. And we have also more right to David than you. Why then did he despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back our king? And the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. So the words of the men of Judah, they were angry. They were angry. They did not want to share David's kingdom with the Israelites. But they are the same people. What's the fight all about? They are the same people, but they are still trying to separate themselves to say they are 10 times closer to David than the, 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 the Israelites. Those are the Israelites are saying to the men from Judah that they are 10 times closer to David than them. So listen, we are the ones who are supposed to be his right hand, not you all. That is like, you ever hear people fighting over some foolishness? All of us are right here, but still, somebody wants some kind of superiority. Somebody wants to consider themselves more valuable. I find this too in nursing. I don't know how many of you here are nurses, or even in your jobs, you might find it. All of us are nurses, all of us are equally credentialed, but there is always this little snickerdoodle who wants to consider themselves closer to management than the others. Yeah. They want to belittle the other nurses. They want to act as though the other nurses don't know what they're doing, and they know. So they deserve the managers. They deserve for the manager to like them and for him to congratulate them on everything that they do, but not to congratulate anybody else. We find this all the time with people that we have to deal with in this life. And here, the Judeans and the Israelites are quarreling and fighting over who is supposed to be closer to David and who is supposed to be given the best meat, so to speak, in David's kingdom, while they are all still one people. Guys, that is going to be the end of the reading for today. I hope you all are enjoying the reading as much as I am enjoying bringing it to you. Until the next time, when we come back tomorrow, we will continue the reading of the book of 2Samuel. We are going to continue the reading of the book of 2Samuel. This book, I tell you, well, all of the Bible practically seems like a massive soap opera, with the killings and people taking over, Absalom taking over his father's concubines, and Absalom plotting to destroy his father and ended up being killed by Joab and Joab's servants. All of these happenings are events that occurred then, but continue to occur now. We still see cheating and backbiting and people setting up plots to destroy others. We see that happening as well in today's world. So you go ahead and pick what you think is practical out of these readings for your life in today's world, and let me know that is working out for you. Thanks again, guys, for coming into the live. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you who have come into the live. Card and LCD, AG, Joseph, Andrea, Cortian. I didn't see Sister Winsome today. Gay and Rahia. I saw Rahia and Official 1SP and Jennifer Bird Farms and several others were here. And also to the silent listeners, I want to say thank you all for coming in. I sincerely appreciate you all, guys. Until next time, this is Trev from Trevessence, where your journey matters. All right, guys, have yourselves a great day, everybody.